Hello again. Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to preview Missouri's road trip to Columbia, South Carolina to face the red-hot Gamecocks, 3:15 Central on the SEC Network. BetOnline favors South Carolina by 13 with an over-under of 44. That makes for a predicted final in the neighborhood of South Carolina 29, Missouri 16. My model favors the Gamecocks by about 7.5 points. Big game for both teams. Missouri trying to stay its way into two-loss playoff consideration, while South Carolina making the case maybe as a three-loss potential playoff team. Let's get right into the offense against the defense. Here are the stats with Missouri's offense followed by South Carolina's defense. Points per game, 28 flat versus 17.6. Yards per rushing play, that takes sacks out of it, 4.9 against 4.3. Yards per passing play, 5.8 against 4.8. Turnover percent, 1.2 against 3.2. And sack percentage, 6.3 versus 10.7. Missouri's offense has really been struggling with Drew Pyne, and I guess the big question, Chase, who's at quarterback for the Tigers this Saturday?
That's the $1 million question, and a very important question to see if Brady Cook will be in, if Drew Pyne will continue there, and to me, it's big. It's a different team when Brady Cook's leading a quarterback and when Drew Pyne is. Now, I say that, and I feel like Drew Pyne has really come along, especially last week in the Oklahoma win. That last drive he put together, they were able to put some points up. Like, I feel like he's getting more comfortable and confident in that role. But in a game like this, playing against South Carolina, who you mentioned, they're red hot right now. They're one of the hottest teams in the SEC. And so the fact that they're going up against, especially this defense of South Carolina, you want to be at your best, and they're at their best with Brady Cook. So we'll see if he's in there or not. But they're going to get a lot of pressure, whoever is in at quarterback, because this pass rush for South Carolina, Kennard, Stewart, these other guys up front have been so impressive this year, and they're going to put pressure on you. They're going to stop the run, and that is how they've had a lot of success that they have so far. So I really like South Carolina defensively. They're starting to come on offensively, as we'll talk about in a minute, but their defense has been the calling card for them this year, and they've stepped up. I thought they did a great job against Alabama. They forced them into some bad situations, forced some turnovers and got to football. They forced turnovers against Texas A&M and got to football and were able to win that game. They're at their best with their wreaking havoc, causing turnovers and things like that. That's what they're good at, and that's what they're going to be trying to do against this Missouri team. Get them off balance, get them making mistakes. And South Carolina is so good. And the Oklahoma game, they scored like 3 or 4 defensive touchdowns. They're so good at taking advantage of opportunities given to them, whether it's by turnovers or whatever. That's what's really stood out to me about the South Carolina team this year.
Yeah, a few things of interest here. You mentioned the turnovers. They create them at a higher rate than anybody other than Texas in this league, I believe. Missouri's got one of the lowest turnover rates in the league, just over 1.2% exactly. Now, how that differs with Drew Pyne and Brady Cook, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure how much the stats matter for Missouri in some ways until we know who the quarterback is. But I will tell you this from Missouri. They got to find Luther Burden a bigger role. They've got to get him the ball to the extent they got it to him in 2023. I still don't know what's going on there at times. And I think the rushing game, they've got Nate Noel, who's been very, very good at times, and 2 other capable backs behind him. But, man, that front 7. I was in the press box for that game in Nashville last week, and Demetrius Knight, Debo Williams, Kyle Kennard, Dylan Stewart up front are about as good as it gets. You got Nick Emmanwori on the back end who can take 1 for 6. Jalon Kilgore's been a really good defensive back for them. I just feel like every level of this defense, you get a challenge with South Carolina. But if Missouri can get Burden more involved, get Nate Noel into one of his better rushing games, I think that's how you deal with them a little bit.
Yeah, it's got to be, and I think the run game will be big if they can get that established early and figure out some ways that they can run on South Carolina.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the other side of the matchup before we get there. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. The numbers for Missouri's defense against South Carolina's offense. Points, and again, I'll go Missouri first, 18.4 versus 30.2. Per rushing play, 4.7 versus 5.1. Per passing play, 5.7 against 6.1. Turnover percentage, 2.3 versus 2.3. And sack percentage, Missouri generates sacks 8.5% of the time versus 12.5% for South Carolina's offense. That's a large rate at which to give up sacks. Now, I do have some caveats to that in a minute, but I want to start with you and what you're watching for on this side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching to see if Rocket Sanders can keep up the way he's been playing the last couple of weeks. I thought he's been tremendous and a huge part of South Carolina winning these games is that he looks like, and we've said it, he looks like Rocket Sanders of a couple of years ago when he was healthy at full strength and just so hard to bring down. That's what we're seeing from Rocket Sanders right now. And if he keeps that up Saturday, it's going to be really tough for Missouri to stop. And LaNorris Sellers is doing some good things, running the ball, throwing the ball. Like he's getting more comfortable. I feel like he's a freshman, starting. Like he's getting more comfortable, and I really like the way the offense has improved. Like you've seen them get better right before our own eyes every week, I feel like, and especially to have Rocket Sanders playing the way he is right now. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough test for Missouri.
Yeah, here's two things I'm watching. We talked about that sack percentage. Carolina got much better on the offensive line last week against Vanderbilt, didn't allow as many sacks, and I think LaNorris Sellers is just getting better every week. His completion percentage got dragged down a little bit by some early games. He has been so much better. No, the challenge will be holding onto the ball. He's, I think, been strip sacked a few times. Missouri can do that, but I feel like this is a guy that, and no surprise, he barely played in college coming into this year, but every week looks a little bit better and is just such a nightmare to contain in the open field, hard to bring down. Rocket Sanders, you touched on that. It's not just the rushing game, but he can catch screen passes and go a long way. And I just think he is a headache to tackle. He's fast, he's physical, and Missouri has got to really be attentive to detail because this bunch can really break some tackles after contact.
Yeah, they can, and that is also what makes them dangerous. And so, this is going to be a fun one Saturday.
Let's get into picks and why, starting with you.
Yeah, still unknown about the quarterback situation at Missouri, but still, I think I would make this pick regardless of who is at quarterback at Missouri, and that's picking South Carolina to win this game. I think South Carolina is just playing lights out right now, and they're. I mean, the ground game is huge. The defense is so strong. Like, I really like this South Carolina team and the direction they're heading. I will take the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I'm with you. This game to me is more about South Carolina than it is Missouri. Now, if Brady Cook plays, that could change some things because they've got their backs against the wall, delivered a victory just out of nowhere last week late in the game. And Brady Cook has done some good things, but I think other than maybe Ole Miss, which we've seen that one, I might take Carolina against anybody right now, especially at home. So I'm going to go with the Gamecocks in this one, and it might be big if Brady Cook doesn't play. Either way, we'll wrap it up afterwards. To get that, make sure you see it. Hit the subscribe button. That's free. Enable your notifications, and that'll let you know when we go live, which we usually do about 9:30 Central on game nights, wrapping up everybody. Anyway, hope you catch us then. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You have been watching Southeastern 16 presented by BetOnline.